25 major wildfires raged across California beginning September 6th and have continued for over 75 days. The fires destroyed 3.6 million acres of land, 7,600 structures, and have left over hundreds of animals endangered. Volunteers from many groups such as California's North Valley Animal Disaster Group have been rescuing livestock, pets, and even wild animals. The North Valley Animal Disaster Group, or NVADG, specializes in rescuing animals and giving them the shelter, care, and medical attention needed.
North Valley Animal Disaster Group is mostly made up of all volunteers. We do have one paid member who's our executive director, John Moretti. But besides him, everybody else that's on the team is all volunteers. So basically our mission is we work with emergency services in times of disaster. Basically what we try and do is try and educate the public about having animal preparedness. And then during a time of disaster, we work under the control and work for Butte County Animal Control. So when a mandatory evacuation is actually established in a fire area, our team is actually activated. And at that point, our team, their members do different things. So I'm part of the evac team. So the evac team is activated. We meet in a certain area where we're actually going out when the scenes are deemed safe for us to go out, and we basically try and evacuate animals that are in imminent danger. We also have teams that go and set up animal shelters. So we set up a small animal shelter, primarily that takes dogs, cats, small animals, so more domesticated animals. And then we also have a team that will establish a large animal shelter.
With the fires amassing to such intensity, many farmers and owners have no choice but to leave animals behind. Therefore, the NVADG steps in and spends hours on the front lines, rescuing and evacuating as many animals as possible.
In the beginning, I would say we were deploying teams of 2, anywhere from probably 15 to 20 teams out in the field. The days in the beginning were anywhere from 12 to 14, 16 hours, just trying to get the calls answered that we could. And as the fire has become more stabilized, our days have become shorter. Most of the animals that we've been able to get off the hill are now safe in the shelters.
When local domesticated animals or pets are nearby a fire area and found by a rescue team, they will not be evacuated, but instead will be placed under watch by rescuers till the fire risk area calms down.
Over 700 animals that are currently being what we call sheltered in place. And what that means is they're at their place, they're contained, they're not in imminent danger. And what we do is we continue to send teams out to feed and water them and do regular well checks to make sure that they're doing okay until their owners can get home to actually assume care. So our current numbers right now, when I kind of last checked, was we have over 200 animals in the small animal shelter. That's mostly dogs and cats, but we've taken in koi, we've taken in hamsters, goldfish. So when somebody calls us to go and check on their pet, if we can evacuate them, especially if they're in a area that's in imminent danger, we try and get those animals out of that danger zone. In the large animals shelters, right now we currently have over about 200 animals, and that includes horses, cattle, we've got peacocks, turkeys, chickens, so anything when you kind of think of livestock. We even had a zebra, so we've kind of seen it all.
Due to how unexpected fires are these days, it is imperative that every living member is taken care of. Therefore, preparedness and education play key roles in regards to fire safety.
Like what our biggest thing is, we really try and educate people about being prepared. So knowing that disasters can happen, and the more that you can prepare ahead of time, the more that you'll be prepared when the disaster happens. So teaching your animals how to load if they're large animals. If you have dogs and cats, having a to-go bag when you're preparing a to-go bag for yourself. Have a to-go bag for your animal as well, so that when you need to leave in that time of hurry, you can just grab bags and your animals and you're prepared to leave.
It's unclear how many animals have died, as it is hard for scientists to give a consistent number with the fire spreading at random times. Tristana Beckford, communications director at the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish, responded to Wired magazine on September 19th and said, "Until we get the actual reports back from the National Wildlife Health Center, we can't say what is happening or is not happening. What can be determined is that even species that have evolved to thrive in habitats that burn regularly are facing new challenges, such as adapting to a new environment."
But the kind of fire that we're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
where it's going to completely change the forest, and by knocking down the large trees, ultimately it's going to be the beginning of secondary succession. So we'll have the understory will start to receive sun. These are very hot fires. So, if it were kind of a regular fire, then we'd see we'd see trees surviving. We'd see seeds cracking open and being able to germinate. But this one just might be so hot that we're not going to see a lot of forest as we recognize.
Many animals rely on their environment's trees and other flora in order to survive. But with the fires becoming longer and hotter, landscapes are increasingly becoming drier and more susceptible to burn. The majority of California's plant life has a little to no chance of regrowth.
The trees are the ones that are going to be that could potentially regrow. They can only do that after a normal fire. But if it's a really hot fire, like the ones we're seeing, then those fires can burn what's underground as well. And if the trees are burned underground, they cannot sprout back. So these, there might be some trees that are going to sprout back, but some of our, enormous trees, they might not.
The National Geographic reported on September 8th that the fires have reportedly gotten hotter and even longer in comparison to previous years. If the plants and vegetation do not grow again, the animals will have scarce access to resources. Where there is no room or no wet land for plants to grow, comes a loss of vegetation and habitats for animals.
Our planet is changing very, very quickly, faster than our policies can keep up with. And we can either accept that our planet as we knew it is not going to be what it is in the future and learn how to survive in a new way. Or if we want to keep our planet the way we knew it, then we have to have policies happen very quickly and people have to change the way they live.